chapter and a member of the Resist US-led war movement. Welcome to our online forum, Voices of Resistance, Stop the Genocide. This event is co-organized by the ILPS and the People's Coalition on Food Sovereignty. As part of our unconditional solidarity with the Palestinian people, this online forum will serve as a platform to highlight the voices of Palestinian resistance movements and grassroots organizations. Situation of the U.S. Zionist occupation and resistance of Palestine by hearing the perspectives of Palestinians themselves.
Courageous speakers. First, our keynote speaker is Leila Khaled, a Palestinian activist and a longtime active leader of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, or PFLP. She is also a member of the Palestine Liberation Organization's Palestinian National Council and is widely viewed as a revolutionary within the Palestinian national movement. Our second speaker is Razan Zoeter. She holds an MS in agriculture, and she is the founder and president of the Arab Group for the Protection of Nature. And she is also the founder of the Arab Network for Food Sovereignty. Razan co-chairs the People's Coalition on Food Sovereignty and is a member of the Committee for Hunger Eradication within the League of Arab States. Our third speaker is the spokesperson of the Global Campaign to Return to Palestine, a network of non-government organizations that support the Palestinian cause, both in the Arab region. We have Dr. Abdul Malik Sukaria. Cody?
Thank you so much, Lisa. So to start us off, it's my honor to introduce someone whose words and actions have inspired me for years. Please, everyone, welcome Leila Khaled.
Thank you very much. This is my honor to talk to you all. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, Leila.
It's in these days. Who has a piece of conscience will be in sad moment and in very bad mood to see that this is happening in the 21st century. But it's happening in Gaza. Let me tell you that our enemies, who are the same enemies that you are fighting, the imperialists, the Zionists, the Israelis, these are the forces that inflict the whole world with their brutal attack against our children in Gaza. They are not only attacking the children, but the family, the parents, the grandparents also. They are attacking every family, even those newborn babies who were in incubators. They cut every source of uh, uh, like electricity or oxygen or so. These children are dying now. Just 15 minutes ago, I have seen how many children need help in this world. But we we don't look at them only to be sad, but we look at the bright scene in the whole world. Gaza area is 360 square kilometers, inhabited by 2.5 million people. This is the most condensed people living in this small area. But Gaza now has an area, the whole world now, Gaza, because we saw you in streets, you're calling for stopping genocide. We saw all peoples of the world, from Washington to Europe to Japan to Philippines to everywhere, and in the Arab world as well. But I say that because you are with us, then we can bear the responsibility of the death children in Gaza. And we can be patient enough because we have been patient enough as a people since 1 century, since 1917, when Balfour Declaration was recognized by the United Nations at that time after the First World War. Anyhow, I'm not here to speak about history, but to remind in some stops where our people were sometimes making uprisings or holding arms to defend themselves from the Zionist hegemony and the American hegemony. Also, we are looking forward that we can pass this difficult time to a brighter one, because we believe that peoples of the world now are adopting the Palestinian narrative. The Palestinian narrative was absent at that since 100 years ago. Only the Zionist narrative was adopted by the whole world, especially after the Second World War. And now we are now looking forward for to answer the question, what should be done? First of all, I call upon you not only to raise the slogan, stop genocide. We want to have an action on governments to change their attitude toward Israel. Those who are attacking us, they are war criminals. Until now, the ICC is not taking steps to see what they have as evidences that it is genocide, that they should begin directly. We have to also to call upon the ICC to continue and to begin the investigation about this. At the same time, we call upon peoples of the world, including yourselves, that to not only to go to streets. It's very important. I tell you that when we have contacts with our comrades in Gaza, they tell us when we see if we have electricity, because they don't have electricity. From the 7th of October, at the beginning of the attack, the Israelis cut electricity, water, and food for our people. And they added also, they cut the internet with the help of the huge tech companies who can do that for the sake of the Zionists who are in Israel now. You have seen just from the beginning that Israel was shocked with the attack, the first attack. I don't say it's attack, it's defense. We are a people under occupation, then we have the right to revolt against our occupants. And this is not a new thing to us. It was adopted by the United Nations, item 8 in the Charter. People under oppression or occupation have the right to defend themselves even by armed struggle. We are using our right to attack those occupants who all the time launch war after a war in Gaza, especially in Gaza and in the West Bank. They were launching wars against us in diaspora. They destroyed our camps in Lebanon. That was before 1982 until 1982. And I have to remind you that the Zionist approach to occupy Palestine was by force, by terrorist acts, by massacres. They made many massacres in Palestine in 1948. And this is their way to deal with another people. They came with a lie that the world accepted it or believed in it. They called that a land without people to a people without a land. And they occupied Palestine. They kicked us by force from our home and from our properties in Palestine. Now they are continuing the same way to deal with our people. Now they are asking people to leave Gaza. But I tell you, no one in Gaza now under attack and under fire will accept to leave the land, because this is our land. It's our right to defend it by all means, including armed struggle. So they cannot make us to be afraid of them when they call us terrorists. But let us look at who is terrorist. Who is a terrorist? It's the imperialists, it's the occupants, it's the Zionists, it's all those together. They are the terrorists. They launch wars everywhere in the world, and they prevent the people to have their dignity and have their independence. We have learned in history that people of the government, their occupy force can prevent us to reach to this. Are seeing what's happening. Millions of
Recording in progress.
we are a people on our land. We are this land was inhabited by people, and they discovered that afterwards when they began to attack us. Comrades and friends, I'm really in a I will be lying for the crimes that I have the power and the strength when I see you speaking to us, expressing your solidarity to us. There are many means of solidarity to a people under attack now. And every day we hear more and more martyrs are in Gaza, and the wounded. They are attacking the hospitals, which should be according to international human rights law. But Israel always acted as a state above international law. And until now, Israel was not punished even by condemnation in the Security Council of the United Nations. Why? It's because a part of this camp of enemies against peoples of the world, not only against the Palestinians, but when we are speaking these days about the Palestinians, because they are under attack. Look how they dealt with the Ukraine crisis. They have double standards always in dealing with things. It's according to their interests in our countries, to prevent us from our resources, to prevent us to be free in our countries, on our land, and to have self-determination. These are the rights of the Palestinians. we every some years we hear about initiatives coming from once from Bush, once from Sharon, once from, but always from these circles. They offer us initiatives to see what we want, but they don't know our needs. They know only their needs. Look, this time Israel asked for protection, and a state that cannot protect itself, it means that it's a failure for it. So they asked the Americans. Biden directly sent the ammunition, sent arms, sent counselors, sent the ships to the Mediterranean, and so to support Israel. But Israel now is living in a crisis. I tell you that this crisis is from the society itself, from the way they control their state. This is an apartheid state, and we are sure that apartheid should be, we have ended apartheid since 1994, and now again another state adopting apartheid policy to face our people and their people. The Ashkenaz in Israel are ruling the state of Israel, but they deal with the Jews who came from the east. They deal with them as citizens number 2 or 3, because they don't deal with us as citizens. They deal with us as number 10. But we have in our history all the time defending ourselves, defending our humanity, defending our ID, because they don't want to hear that there are people with an ID called Palestinian. But now we have it. We have it even if we don't have the passport, even if so. But I'm sure that you will have many suggestions to help us. And I'm sure also that by the end of this year, we will be victorious. It's not because we are defending ourselves, but because you are with us and millions of people are with us. And this will give us more strength to face those war criminals in Tel Aviv. And at the end of the day, people, when they revolt, when they decide to defend their humanity and to achieve dignity for the people, then we will be victorious. I tell you a sentence by the end of my introduction, that if injustice is the system, then the revolution is a duty, and we are doing our duty. You are doing your duty, because you are facing the same enemies we are facing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Leila. You're absolutely right. We have to be relentless in exposing the genocidal war crimes of the Zionists. But like you said, in the end, our enemies are all the same, and a free Palestine is the cause for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
As a reminder to everyone here, we have some questions I already see coming in the chat. If you have questions, please put them in the chat, especially for media, and we'll pose them at the end. Now, we'll introduce our second speaker. Please welcome Razan Zwaiter.
Thank you very much, Cody. Do you hear me?
Yes, loud
Yes.
and clear.
Assalamu alaikum, dear comrades. It's heartwarming to see us all together at this moment. Comrades, after the 7th of October, the world is not the same as it was before. On this pivotal date, imperialism and settler colonialism their masks and divided the resistance on the other. Colonial wars driven by a quest for conquest and economic gains. These were wars, which were named as such by their perpetrators, Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike in Palestine, forgetting that Jesus Christ, 700 on the and motivations that it is currently orchestrated.
Recording in
That
progress.
call Jews the rightful heirs of Palestine. 1907, the British Prime Minister, Sir Henry Campbell Bannerman, organized a conference in Belgium, Spain, and Italy. They decided that the Arabs, if united, were a very big threat to European countries, and decided to promote division and separation in the region and to establish a buffer state in Palestine populated by a strong foreign presence that would be hostile to its neighbors and friendly to European countries and their interests. 1916, the French and the British agreed through the Sykes-Picot Agreement to divide the Arab land between themselves. 1917, the Jews were only 6% of the population of Palestine, and they owned only 4% of the land. Came Arthur Balfour, the foreign British minister at that time, and issued a declaration promising them to give them Palestine. In 1922, controlled also at this time by imperialist powers, the League of Nations put Palestine under the British mandate. And this was from 22 to 1948. The British promoted, and their allies of the European countries, promoted waves of European Jewish immigration into our land, trained and armed terrorist Zionist groups, and oppressed through arrests, torture, mass punishment, and execution of all Palestinians who tried to protect their people and their land. Even those who had a single bullet, the British hanged them. Despite the horrific war crimes committed, Palestinians have displayed legendary resilience and resistance all through the 100 years. 1921 was the first uprising in Jaffa, followed in 1929 by the Burak uprising. The biggest uprising was the Arab Revolt, 1936, following the death of the resistance fighter Izz-ad-Din al-Qassam. This name, you might have heard it, was adopted by the resistance movement now in Gaza. It was during this uprising that my father, Akram Zwaiter, was the first prisoner by the British and the final one to be released from prison by the British oppression. 1937, during the Arab Revolt, Winston Churchill declared the same Crusaders' values. Open quotation. I do not agree that the dog in a manger has the final right to the manger, even though he may have lain there for a very long time. I do not admit that right. I do not admit, for instance, that a great wrong has been done to the Red Indians of America or the Black people of Australia. I do not admit that a wrong has been done to these people by the fact that a stronger race, a higher grade race, a more worldly wise race, to put it that way, has come in and taken their place. Close quotation. 1939, the British smashed the 3 years long revolution with very cruel measures. 1948, the year of the Nakba, tens of massacres took place, slaughtering thousands of Palestinians, demolishing more than 530 villages of earth. Massacres of Deir Yassin, Qisaria, displacing more than 750,000 people out of Palestine into tents outside Palestine. In the same year, at the Nakba, UN Resolution 194, calling for the right of return for Palestinians, were approved by all countries, but had never been applied, like hundreds of resolutions for Palestinians. However, the massacres continued. 1956, the Kufr Qasim and Khan Yunis massacres took place. In 1964, by founding the PLO and established one Palestinian, Christians and Jews live as citizens with equal rights and obligations. But here comes again, 1967, backed by the Imperial United States, Israel occupied the rest of Palestine, as well as Syrian Golan Heights. The Fourth Arab-Israel War took place to reclaim the recently occupied Golan Heights and Sinai. This was a victorious battle, but until the states came to rescue, as usual, their puppet. Palestinians revolted against the Israeli occupation in 1987, referred